Hi, welcome to Switching Mindsets. This is Anuradha. Today I'm speaking to P.S. Srikumar. He is a senior care expert and the founder of Care Finder. He has helped over 9,000 families navigate the complexities of elder care, creating personalized solutions that enhance their quality of life. So today we're going to talk about what seniors want, the trends in senior care, and how the industry is shaping up to meet these needs. Hi, Shri, how are you?
I'm doing great. I can't tell you how excited I am about this session because this topic has kind of last 9 years I've been breathing this topic day in and day out. So it's an amazing thing for me.
No,
Thank you
I'm
so much.
also very excited because, we hardly get to hear about, these topics, first of all, and also somebody who's an expert on this. So, to get an entire overview of what is happening in this sphere, really. So, why don't we start with, why don't you tell us how you got into this?
Okay, see, actually, I think most of us who've got into the senior space have gotten because they've had something to do with it, right? And I'm not an exception. I had no clue what the senior space was, and about 12 years back, my mother went through dementia, and I was at that time I was in Delhi. I was the chief operating officer of one of the largest global HR companies, and these changes suddenly caught me totally off guard, and we had no clue what is to do. So we came back to Chennai, and that was my first tryst with what the requirement was. It is more from a health and healthcare side. But the context to it was very interesting because, every time that we had to be in the hospital, when she had to be admitted to the hospital, I used to spend the nights in the hospital. And in Apollo, what happens is they give you a lounge. You're not allowed to stay with the patient. Right. And in the lounge, there would be so many people like me who had their father, their brother, or their mother, some senior who had been admitted there and they were here, and we started talking. And those days your WhatsApp and things were still not very prominent, right? It wasn't even there. So we all used to keep in touch, and then we used to mail each other. So they used to go back and after the discharge, but we started, and that was the first cohesive group that formed, saying, hey, we used to have a platform where we shared problems, right? And we said, what would you do? And then people started extending. There would be somebody from Dubai. So I think that was the first thing. And when I came down, I said, hey, listen, this looks like an area which needs a lot of, intervention. I absolutely had no clue. I didn't know how to navigate through this complexity which hit me. So that was the start point for me. I said sometime, I would get into this, this area, and I will see what best I could do. And then I forgot, sadly for me, mother passed away, and then I forgot about this idea. I continued with whatever I was doing. But the other people in the group started telling me, hey, listen, now that in your case, the problem is kind of sorted. I wouldn't say it was a good way of getting that sorted, but they're saying now that, but we are all still in that area. Why don't you help us? So finding small things. It started as a very, small consultative kind of a stuff for them, pro bono. Hey, where can I find this for my mother? Can you suggest where I can find the diapers at a lower price? Or, how do I redo my toilet? This is how it started off, and it started getting very interesting. And in 2015, I decided to take a plunge. I started my focus on the senior care more as a feel good factor in addition to what I was doing as business. But Anuradha, believe me, this took engulfed me completely. Within no time, I had inquiries pouring in. I had problems. People wanted to discuss solutions. People wanted to have. So I said I need to put a formal framework to this whole thing. So what was incidental became main work for me. So that is how I moved into this space. But looking back at 9 years, the kind of things that I have experienced in this industry, the kind of people that I have met, I would still that I've not even scratched the surface, because this is as huge as the IT industry or whatever, because people are getting old, but the number of people who are around this, whether it could be a caregiver, whether it's going to be a business which is targeting in them, or whether it's going to be the person who wants options, many people actually wanted somebody to help them out, right? Saying, hey, I have this kind of a requirement, but I have somebody to talk to. Then finding people, the journey has been amazing. In the last 9 years, we've handled more than 20 projects. When I'm saying projects, we take, one or two projects every year. So right from, you know, partnering with India's first conferences and exhibitions company in the elder space. You'll be amazed that there was a conferences and exhibitions company in the space called Unmuk, which did amazing work.
Yeah, I
All right.
came across
Uh,
that after I heard
yeah,
your talk at Sukoon, where you gave a talk.
yeah.
I looked it up. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
And that brought me closer to, because there the idea was to bring people who are serving the elders. See, our normal thing is only the health and healthcare, right? But actually, there is so much of happiness and joy and freak out things that the elders do. So we had to bring all this together in form of the exhibition. The exhibition is huge, so identifying, suddenly somebody came up and said they have a travel for the elders. Somebody would come up and said, hey, we have something interesting which is new. I mean, there were games. This company which was actually curating traditional games for elders to we are looking at table tennis and carom for hand and eye dexterity, but there was this company which came out with your snakes and ladders, and the kind of joy that the seniors had when they were playing, right? It became it was so the time just ran. And even today, actually today, I'm helping I'm heading a company, setting up services for the seniors, the senior living. But there's so much happening in the sector that as we probably talk along, I can say how exciting it is, a time for the seniors. Away from this usual cliches, hey, I'm old, what do I do, the boredom. There is so much, and today many of the seniors don't have the time. They really don't have the time.
They're busy. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
absolutely.
very busy.
Yeah, yeah. And what you said, it's the sector is booming like the IT industry. That's so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. I
And
would say in a very positive way. I would tell it in a positive way because,
of course, yeah.
yeah, because India as a country is is relatively young. But then if you look at the population of seniors that we have, it is bigger than many of the European countries. Only the population of elders that we have is bigger than the combined population of companies like Greece or UK shortly. I'm saying so for the global people, there's a huge audience that they find in India to whom products or services can be curated, and they are focusing on this market in a significant way. I've had the opportunity to interact with a lot of people. So just to give you a flavor of this whole thing, if you've taken any of the ads that are coming recently, right, whether it's going to be the Cadbury ad where there's an old lady who wants a young guy to help, but he does nothing. But what happens is, because he has done nothing, it actually saves her from a
Yeah,
particular
yeah, yeah, yeah.
situation.
Those ads are very
Or
nice. Yeah.
yeah, or there is this, Swiggy, because elders order. Much to think that they would be stingy. They love to eat. They love to spend time. They ad of a guy craving for a single jamun and how he orders, or a set of elders getting together for a cricket match, creating that this ruckus. And so this space has become so enjoyable, and a lot of people have started focusing on this particular space.
Yeah, and I like that, the elderly population is more visible now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's the thing. And I'll just read out from the LinkedIn post, which you'd written
yeah,
um, on how, so like this topic, like, we were discussing what we talk about today. And I said that, I want to talk about what seniors want, because, what
yeah,
I realized from your last talk is that they know what they want. And with
yeah,
my limited involvement in, the senior space, I can also see that, they're very opinionated and they're traveling, they have a voice, they are fun people. So like you said, they love playing games, they love doing traveling, everything, reading. So, I'll just read out from here. You said that in a few years, India's senior population will contribute to 20 to 25% of consumer spending. For every rupees 5 spent in India, one will be attributed to a senior. The 60 plus population accounts for 25% of banking deposits, right?
yeah,
So this is huge. And it's a very vibrant, lively generation, and generation, I mean that, seniors gone from 60 to 90 beyond, right? And all of them are contributing. They all very bright individuals. So they have a lot to contribute and they have a lot to give to the economy and to the people around us. So they are the decision makers, right? You will agree with that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
So
I
what do
think
they
to
want? Yeah.
Okay, to just add on is that, there's a normal cliche which says that, Indians live poor and die rich. I think that is going away now with
Yeah.
the new generation of elders. See, I'm saying, I'm talking very clearly the new generation of the elders. If you
Right.
define 60 as the senior age, as it is normally put in, it's hardly the elder age, correct? So
Yeah. Hardly.
yeah,
Hardly. Yeah.
hardly. So if I look at, age is not a criteria anymore. And I would, as I was talking to you some time back, today's 60s are the 40s of yesteryears, and so the 80s are the 60s of yesteryears, right? So they want to beat the rhetoric. They love to travel. Okay, other than traveling for taking care of the grandchildren as it was normally perceived, they like a good life. They like eating out. They like meeting with people. They like pursuing hobbies. Like I'm 61, okay, but I started karaoke singing. I realized that, hey, what is there? Let's start singing. Something which I wasn't holding on to myself for a long time. I've started doing that. They pursue hobbies in music, art, plants. Reunions are getting more popular. I don't know if you've heard, and so many reunions now are surfacing where a lot of people come together. They travel globally around to meet with their, the people whom they studied with, and they shared their growing up years with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
I've
and
come across many
marketing.
such
Yeah,
cases.
and I'm saying it's an extravaganza. It's no more that you talk something, I talk something. These programs have they have somebody who's doing the programs. They have a outsourced person. They have an event vendor for doing reunions now, and so the marketing gurus. That's going back to what I was saying. If you just Google and say marketing gurus on seniors, almost all the marketing gurus, the who's who of the advertising. And marketing area have said that if a company or a business is not focusing on this segment, it is at the risk of losing a huge business opportunity. That goes back to what I was talking to you about. And
Yeah,
also there's a lot of change, right? I'm from Tamil Nadu, right? So you can relate it to the other places. See, the retro is no more your MS Vishwanathan or Ghantasala, it is Ilayaraja. To the extent even A.R. Rahman is becoming a retro now. So the definition of retro is changing, right? So the
yeah,
choices are more current. It's not like that very, very, very old songs. They're still popular, they're still wonderful, but they are no more the retro. It's like, the definition of old. It's like, yeah, old, young, old. That's how the definition is, right? And to
right.
answer your question of what, the seniors want, you just Google today. I did this before this program. I just wanted to read out what really kind of came out. If you Google saying, what do today's seniors want? The answer, Google itself through AI, it itself throws up saying today's seniors, what are seniors looking for? You'll get the following definitions. They're looking at safety. They're looking at good health and wellness. They're looking at social interaction. They're looking at access to quality healthcare. They are looking to manage finances better. They want comfortable living arrangements. They want transportation options and travel, various travel options, opportunities to maintain their independence and engage in meaningful activities, including hobbies and community involvement. So, if you look at, I mean, this is what the Google itself throws up, and I think this is something that breaks that whole thing of saying, "Hey, what do elders want? Do they want medicines? Do they want healthcare?" No,
Yeah,
they want fun, and they're saying, hey, listen, I would like to come out and so I want to just relate one experience that I've had is when I was also involved in auditing the daycare centers and the old age homes funded by the government of India, right? So when you go to the daycare centers, you'll actually, I've gone down, I've gone into the rural areas. I'm not talking even about the urban areas. If I go there, I see a whole lot of people coming in, and there's so much of camaraderie, fun, laughing, and then one person pulling the other, saying, all this laughter is only till 6 o'clock, till you have family people come. She says, why should I wait till 6 o'clock? No, enjoy now. I'll go back, and I'm seeing that togetherness is what I think it's the biggest thing that people are looking forward.
yeah.
If I see what
That
do elders look for.
peer-to-peer connection, really, no? We
Absolutely.
all need that.
Someone to meet, someone to talk to, someone to exchange ideas. So this is getting more and more interesting. And today with avenues like, the social media, okay, really opening up opportunities to connect with somebody you've lost touch years back. There's so much of excitement when, yeah, I know I have a person, I have a person who's 80 and she's extremely conversant on social media. She dabbles with the iPad like a baby with a toy, right? And she's so excited. Her hobby is finding and connecting with her classmates. I mean, if she's 80, she would have done, her schooling almost about 70 years back.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's
70,
lovely.
65 to 70 years. And she has collected, almost they've connected to almost about 25, 30 people, and they communicate regularly. Some of them are, so I connect to A connects to B, and then we all come together, and then we have these school days times. It's amazing times that they've had.
Yeah. So why don't we take these one by one? You said that the
Yeah.
one is senior living, right? You're
Yeah.
very involved in senior living.
Yeah.
So maybe we should start with that. Like, what is because I know that a lot of people are looking for senior living centers where you book a flat or a room or a studio apartment or something like that. But a lot of people have seen that you've also been emphasizing on that most people want to live in their own homes and make it safe.
Right.
So could you tell us your take on that?
Good. I think you've set the context beautifully. Senior living doesn't mean living, outside your home. It is living in an institution or living by yourself, right? So let us take these two separately as two separate topics. If I'm going to be living in my own house, the biggest, thing that one is I'm familiar with the surrounding. I don't want to get out from it, but then I want to make my house very comfortable for me to live in. So today there is so much that has come in, that so much has happened that it gives you all the benefits of living in a senior community, right? If you're looking at safety today, you have right from a government scheme. We have in case in Tamil Nadu, you have this scheme called Bandhan, where the police, you can tell that I'm above 70 and I'm living alone. Once in 2 days or 3 days, they do a beat around your house. They come and see if you're fine and everything is taken care of. Today there is food. If I'm talking about various aspects, what you why would person go to a retirement community? If you're looking at food today, what is happening is that right from a low potassium, low sodium, to specialized options that people have, right, to the cheat food that they want, that the puris and the things they also, I mean, they would love to cheat. I mean, elders love to, I mean, the kind of fun and the glow on their face when they say something that they are forbidden. The forbidden fruit is very, 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 very attractive to them, right? So they have this cheat day. But by and far, the food today, they don't have to, you can't say, you don't have to say that I need to hire a cook. People are forming groups where they discuss saying, hey, I took it from this caterer is good. So they're highly opinionating the whole thing, saying, okay, I will go ahead with this because X said, my friend said, and I have tasted food in their house, it's good. So food is becoming easy to access. And I'm talking more in the urban centers. It will slowly go to the semi-urban centers and so on and so forth. Right. The third area is the living comfort. When you're talking about today gadgets have come in where they're training specifically focused on elders. Where sitting in your chair or you just stepped out of the house. The biggest thing I've seen my neighbor do is often keep pulling the lock on the door 4 or 5 times to see if the door has been locked properly. Right. So you have gadgets that lock your house. You have got gadgets today that open the door. You have gadgets where sitting in, you can switch off the fan, lights, your TV, everything's become easier. Then you have lights that guide you moment you put your foot down. There are sensor lights that guide you from the bed to the bathroom. I mean, I'm saying life has become so much comfortable. It's only that many people are not aware what really is available for them, and that is why I keep telling them, not keep looking at the papers, look at exhibitions that come in for the space, and you'll know what is really happening in this space. There is certain, living again. The next area is health. Today, I mean, I'm not talking about the standard caregiving organizations. They are there to hire nurses. But the question today is the government has come out with so many initiatives that you can say, hey, I don't want to pay so much for a person whom I just want as an assistant at home. So even that option, you can choose the caregiver at your home, or you can say, I want a person who can come and cook for me for just a few hours and go. The government itself has introduced this number called 14567, which is actually you can call them and ask them any questions. This is available in most of the cities, right? You can call for nursing, you can call for anything like that. Coming back to the topic of health, you also have today, one of the biggest challenges that elders face is typically, I would say, the biggest challenge is the mental health issue, right? Boredom, loneliness.
Loneliness, yeah.
Yeah. So today, there are organizations which do pro bono work, fabulous pro bono work, or there are paid organizations which do work. I'm associated with an organization called Udavi, where we give time to elders, right? Today, options like that are available, where people will register with us as beneficiaries. It's a completely a pro bono organization. Where it's always they always send people in in twos, not just one person. So if there's a lady, then two women will go. The the idea being that you deflect any kind of a slightly a political question that comes on the family and all that, they'll be able to deflect it and make it more lively, right? There are elders who love to sing, so we go sit with them, sing. So I'm saying these are all options that are
Yeah,
have come
available
up.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have a buddy system. You can say, fine, I want to go for I want to go for a doctor visit, or I have to go for a I have to go for a music program, or I have to go, I have to travel today. Today, there are paid services which will accompany you. They'll come and these are verified. I mean, you have to go by the organization. You have to. So people like us played. I told you about the 9,000 families that we have worked with are where people come to us specifically. We customize a solution for them. It's not like one shoe fits all
Yeah.
because the needs can be similar, but they will not be the same. The social background, the outlook, how purse friendly it is, all these, differs. There's so much happening,
What are
when
the
you want to
kind of
live.
needs that they come to you for? Is it like just senior living, or is it like we need to travel? What are the kind of needs? And what are
See,
some organizations that are working in this space?
yeah, very, very good question. What are the needs? Essentially, most of the time, the needs that they come out for is, care needs. Saying that, my wife is not well and I need a person to care. So care forms a very big part. But what we do is we talk to them and we find out their background. Now, if we find that, they don't have a support system at all, I mean, no friends or no, they are new in a place, and then the primary caregiver is as fragile, or because we care we look at the primary caregiver more than the patient in these cases, saying what happens if that person is not well. So we give them alternative suggestions. Like many of them who have come have actually gone to assisted living facilities. They did not come to us for that at all. So we look into a situation. We have a team of people. We talk that, and we have various case studies that we have done. We're saying, hey, what is the nearest case to this, and what is that we had suggested? So many times they come for us for care. The second area is saying that, hey, my son is graduating in the US. I want to go for the graduation ceremony. I don't think it's, safe to leave my parents, or I want to take a holiday. Where do I leave my mother? Where do I leave my father? The short stay facilities. Today, there are a lot of organizations which give you elder care short space, which means, your health is taken care of, and every morning they'll connect FaceTime to the, children or the primary caregivers, and the elder can talk and saying, "Hey, I'm fine." They can connect with them on a day-to-day basis,
That's
one
that's
week.
really nice.
Yeah.
Would you do you recall which organizations
No, many. If you
working in
look
this?
at, there are organizations like Atulya, which do that. There are, quite a few organizations. I mean, today, if you look at Chennai, there are a lot of organizations which are in the co-living space for elders, and they offer this kind of facility. Now, there are the problem gets a little compounded. Let's say if the person has a health issue, if the person is either with dementia, or the person is rehab and needs continuous support. So organizations like kites, organizations like Hamsa Rehab, which is part of Kaveri Hospitals, all these organizations, kites is a part of Manipal group, and all these organizations essentially give you that short stay, saying, hey, you're going for a week, 10 days, your parents are very sick, we'll take care. Or there are the other organizations where they say, hey, we'll do a short stay facility. It's like a hotel. You come six, but you get those regular food. It also acclimatizes the elder with that kind of a living. And there are many elders who have gone into a senior living after they've experienced it. They would have had a lot of issues prior to, they would have had their own mindsets about these, but after they've gone for a short visit, they've actually moved into these places because they find, oh, there are people at my age. I am sitting alone at home. Here, there are people, and people don't want to come back. I mean, there are no cases. I know this elderly lady in Bangalore who says she doesn't. The children want her back. She says, "No, I'm very happy here. Please don't call me back. I'm very happy, and I'm leading my life here." They watch movies. The kind of movies that they want to watch with their peers. So you are forming a peer group. You're forming, your opinions are more with like-minded people, and that's what you kind of enjoy. So these are, and they travel together. today traveling, again, you
Yeah.
asked me about living, right? So traveling together, many of them today, there are fabulous companies like Care Voyage. There is Elder World. There are companies which specialize, or in Bangalore, there is Silver Talkies, which is actually a community. It's an online community which works on programs, curated programs for elders. All these people do specific programs for elders, travel programs for elders. Like recently, some a set of people went to Uzbekistan. So what happens is all the photos, the videos of their fun, and see, they don't have to take the travel at the same pace as an youngster takes. Their tastes are so different, right? They have it at a more leisured space. And I was talking to somebody from Alaska Tours, and that guy very clearly said, he said, I don't want the youngsters because he says the youngsters backpack. If you're on a cruise, he says the elders spend, they enjoy life, they go to a massage, they take care, they take the therapeutic things. I'm saying they are spenders, elders are
They're
spenders.
spenders, yeah.
They are becoming spenders. That is why I said, people are very happy to receive them.
Yeah, wonderful. I want to go back and talk about, if you want to, manage your own residence and live at home, what are the things that are available? Like you'd mentioned, earlier on, um, before the call that, there are stair lifts and step-up walkers, hoists, etc. I think there's
Yep.
a lot of material also, for flooring and a lot of things that, you've talked about in the past.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what can one do if you want to live at home
Okay,
comfortably?
so I'll take it two ways. One is how do I manage my home, and
Yeah,
second one is what will go into the home, right?
right, right.
Starting from managing my home, the basic thing is today many people want to they are living in cluttered spaces. Okay, the biggest thing that is happening in the senior living now is there are warehouses which store residential. So it starts from there, saying, hey, these are things which I'm very sentimental about. These are things which I don't know I may want. These are things my children have left behind. I'm carrying them because I don't have space, but where do I put? So today the first biggest opportunity that has come in for seniors is the warehouses that they have. Whatever they don't want can be parked in a warehouse, which means they can unclutter their house. So uncluttering is the first thing that they should do, because they should have a lot of walking space. Because a fall, normally they say, is the start of a lot of things. So how to avoid fall is the biggest challenge that this addresses. The second one is you have designs, furniture designs that are actually for the elders. Today, design of the furniture design are, do I need to sit in an upright position? Do I need to sit? Because the recliners or the sofas, the way the sink-in sofas are not the ones which are very comfortable for the elders, right? They have a huge problem sitting and getting out of it. So today, right from the urban ladder, then you have various places which where you can actually Google on Amazon and elder friendly furniture. So I'm saying you have that furniture. The third thing is that many people would have purchased houses which have glossy tiles or the vitrified tiles, which could be very slippery, right? Today, without affecting the texture of those tiles or without affecting the look and feel, there are paints that you do on the tiles which give you the anti skid grip. You don't have to necessarily put anti-skid tiles if you already have done your house up, right? So these are advantage, and these are very, very good specifically on stairs when you're climbing upstairs. This other. Then as you ask me, the next very important thing are, as elders age, many of them would have, the knee problems or, climbing up problems. Stair lifts have come. Stair lifts are small things where you sit and it takes you, up. There are winding stair lifts. There are stair lifts which go just straight and so on and so forth. You have players like Nibov, which have come with home lifts where you don't have to dig a huge shaft. You actually can put in a lift from the ground floor to the first floor, which are small, circular lifts, which will, transport you from the first floor. So making climbing, becomes very, very easier. Then you have, as I told you, I mean, other than all this, you have gadgets. You have, gadgets which come with those larger, even microwave ones come with larger, disk scripts.
Display.
So
Mm-hmm.
that you are able to, plug. Actually, otherwise, the reading a microwave is, is quite this thing. You have phones which have come up, which are white calling phones, where you can choose the numbers that you want to receive phone calls from. They are large numbers built in with emergency modules. The other thing is today, from a safety perspective, there is this company called Kubo Care in Bangalore. No, I'm not promoting any company. I'm just giving an
No, of
example so
course,
that
but
you
we need
know,
to be
right?
aware. Yeah.
Yeah. There are these companies which have come out with sensors for falling. Because one of the biggest thing is, I'm falling. What do I do after a fall? How can I prevent a fall? Right now, companies have come out with sensor, and these are not very expensive, right? These are about 15K. They're not that very expensive kind that we're talking about, where you install it on the bed. It zones the bed into two. If there are husband and wife, it says, hey, the left side person has not moved for the last 1 hour, and gives a trigger. If you're lying in motion, if you're not shifted at all, I'm saying it goes to that minute details. And
Yeah.
then it rings, and it gives you an alarm to the nearest, I mean, the numbers that you've kept in emergency numbers. If you've had a fall, it automatically calls up it presses a panic button. It reaches out over a phone to people. So many things. And as I told you, the sensor lights, the lights automatically go on the moment you put your foot down, so that you have a guided thing. One of the very standard basic things, but it's very necessary for elders. Because see, living with diabetes is fine. Most of Indian elders have diabetes, but low sugar is far more dangerous than very high sugar. So your glycemia or whatever, normally when you get up from the bed, you start feeling a bit guilty, giddy. You know, that is the time where handbars next to your bed make a lot of difference. You just grab onto them. Today, for people who are not able to lift themselves up from the bed, there are thing grab bars in the form of handles you can carry, just like the ones you find in a metro or a bus, where you can just hold on and then move your body up. So Anuradha, I can't tell you how many, there are so many things on this. No, if people want, it's like, I you can actually write a book on what is available, how to make your home a senior friendly home, what should go into it post-COVID. In fact, what I've noticed in some of the houses post-COVID is they've done away with this traditional sofas. So they have a nice dining table with very comfortable chairs. So there is a spacing between people. They read their newspapers. Most of the life is around the dining table. So they have a couple of chairs alone where when they have guests and things like that, they put it on over there. There are pet care organizations where you have a pet, you can call up these organizations, they come and take care of because many of the, see, pet therapy is something which is very common between the elders. They feel connected, they feel emotionally a lot better when they have a pet with them.
Especially
Today,
if you're
there are,
living alone, I'm sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
not alone, let's say elders, two people,
People
both
also,
love
yeah.
animals.
Of course.
They then, what happens is, there are agencies today which just do the pet care. You just call, it's not a veterinary doctor. There's a lot of difference. They come, they train the pet, to the way you want it. And so it's become a very exciting kind of world.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm just listening, we're not even aware of all these things.
Yeah.
And
So
you're
much
right.
is there.
Yeah.
I spent 9 years, right? I mean, I'll give you other examples. I've worked with somebody who has brought in the concept of swivel seats. Now, what are the swivel seats? The seats are in your car. The seats come out on 180 degrees. You sit and then see, because if you have, if you have osteoporosis, or if you have any of those issues and you're not able to enjoy your travel, these seats, they come out, they take you, then you rotate the seat back into the car and you start. So in Bangalore, you have this company which is called Kickstart Cabs, which actually provides car services for the physically challenged and the elders. And then, you have this company Turn Plus, which makes these swivel seats. Today, there are companies, if you say, I have a gradient in my house, which is just say 20 millimeters, but it can cost me a trip. There are companies which just make you a gradient, step up for this, the 20 centimeters. There's so much that has come up today.
Yeah, and it's so solution oriented.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Whatever the
yeah.
problem, somebody's thought of it or they're ready to think of it.
Absolutely. So because it's a
Yeah.
huge market, no? It's a huge market.
Yeah,
So
huge
you're not
market.
doing it
Yeah.
in, it's no more, I mean, it's a nice feeling to say that I'm helping an elder, but it's more thing saying, hey, I have 120,000 people in this thing. So will it make a good business sense for me? So what
Yeah.
happens is products get innovated into that space, and they only get better with time. If I do it tomorrow, somebody is doing it much better. Actually, another, I've had weird. We've done, so many things different. We've connected with Philips, we've connected with, because people travel abroad. When they travel for 6 months or 7 months to stay with their children, the biggest problem that they have is they don't know how to use the gadgets there. So in
Yeah.
India, we are spoiled. I don't know about the rest of the places. It's Chennai. We are totally spoiled because we have a dobiwala who comes, picks up your clothes, irons your clothes, gives it back to you. He comes, every week and does that. So you're not really bothered. But when you go abroad and you suddenly say, "Hey, I have to iron my clothes. How will I iron?" It's very expensive. You can't give it outside. So we have
Yeah.
done classes for. We have connected with companies. We have actually, and it's so much fun. We have actually done programs where person knows how to iron, how to iron the clothes, and people have written back to us saying, "Hey, thank you so much. My son finds me suddenly more useful." He says, "Mom, I should have also learned that." So they're saying that, it's a pride when they go back and say, okay,
So at this
there are,
age, now you're finally learning that skill,
no,
because
what
yeah.
age? At 70, people are fit as a fiddle.
Yeah, yeah.
They fiddle. And
No, I
today,
mean,
yeah,
with something which you didn't do when you were younger,
yeah,
you're learning it now. Yeah.
absolutely. And people have actually, people may say, it's what is there, nothing new. People have actually, we have done programs, we have actually trained people on using Google Maps.
Yeah.
How do you walk using a Google map?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And how do you keep your eyes down so that you don't trip and fall? No, that's funny because you just don't keep the phone in your hand. So I'm saying these are all becoming classes now. How do I make salads?
Hmm.
Okay. For a man living alone, see, you're otherwise, it's normally a lady who cooks, and then, he suddenly feels handicapped if that lady is not there. There are people who do a program and how do I make my own salad? Okay. There is this lady who is 80 years old and she does programs on, it's called OPUS, OPOS, one pot, one shot, which is,
Okay.
pressure cooker cooking, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How do you put everything? It makes a pongal, it makes a sambar. How do you do this and what quantities you put? I'm saying there is so much to explore. I mean, it's amazing if I say I'm doing a 1 month program, all that you want to do, that you wanted to do, people will come in. People will start
Yeah.
coming in.
See, the
All
thing
these
is
are
that they
things.
have disposable income, they have the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Those are the two things you need, right?
yeah,
And you have an interest, and all of us actually, there are so many things when you're young or you're actively working. There are a lot of things that you want to do, but you can't, like learn a new language. You said you're doing karaoke. There's no
yeah,
time for it at that time. I'm sure you're
yeah.
still very busy. But
No,
you
no,
said,
no.
you
Uh,
still, this is the time, when you want to try out these things.
Absolutely. And if you don't say you still you feel that you have it in you, there are companies which actually they do jobs for people above 60. Bangalore has this company called Wisdom Circle, which
Yes,
does
yes, I've heard
jobs
about
for,
them. Yeah,
yeah, they
yeah.
do jobs for elders. I mean, it's so nice. And today, imagine you're into a process job. All my job is going to be to process bills, right? Though everything is manual, somebody has to still check it for the audit purposes. Now the youngsters will lose interest over a period of time. How long they'll keep looking at the bills? There are a set of people they're saying, okay, turn it to my home over the weekend. Now there is a program called the Weekend Warriors, where companies are sending the expenses and vouchers to a person's house. The lady sits through the Saturday Sunday. See, for them they're saying every day is a Saturday Sunday for them. So they sit over the weekend, and Monday it's turned out, and the HR then does the reimbursement. So elders have become, to rephrase what I was saying earlier, they also are repurposing themselves. Elders are repurposing
Yeah.
themselves to enjoy life. And just imagine, I might have earned about just 5,000 rupees, but the joy it gives me. So I think I'm going to digress here and tell you, a story, right, which is very interesting to me. This typically explains, the mindset of an elder person and the qualities or the attributes that I see in many of them. So when we started doing our work in the senior care, a very good friend of mine who was I mean, you do it like insurance. You tell everybody, hey, you tell your first, you tell your friends, "Yeah, I'm doing this," and if there's something. So a very good friend of mine called me and said, "Hey, my mother wants to meet up with you." So I called his mother and said, "Aunt, I'll come and Auntie, I'll come and meet up with you." She said, "No, no, no, I'll come." And she kept insisting, saying, "I'll come and meet up with you. I don't want you to come here. I want to come there." I said, "Fine, come to our office." So she came to our office and she had a very different requirement. She said, Srikumar, my grandson, my only grandchild, he's going to the US to do his MS. Right? I want to do a very special gift for him that he will remember and he will cherish it. So I want you to advise us on what is the gift. See, it was a revelation for us because till then our thoughts were all on what do you gift the elders. The reverse flow was never taught to us,
Yeah.
right?
What can you do
And
for
yeah,
them?
what
That's,
what
yeah.
can they do for somebody else? So what we did is we thought, and that was the time where I was very strongly, prophesizing on digitization of records with elders. I told her, Auntie, why don't you digitize the records of your grandson? It'll be very useful for him. So she said, what is digitization? So she said, me explain. So she wanted to know everything. So I told her, you take his medical records, you take his key educational records, you make them into a soft copy, you give it to them in a pen drive, so that whenever he wants, he can go through that. And when he's not well in the US or whatever, he can just show the doctor the documents. She was quite convinced on that. But that was just a start. What started off as a pen drive ended in a hard disk drive, because what had happened was she would come with one requirement every day. One day she would come and say, listen, that exercise was open for quite some time. In fact, she asked us, why don't you take him and get a suit? I said, what will I do? I said, there's no value addition I'm going to do, except that taking him to the tailor and getting a suit done, which you can do yourself. But this what started off, on a very, very small thing. She came back to us suddenly saying, hey, what if, I'm not there when he comes back, or he gets married there and I'm not able to travel. And then she said, I want specific wedding songs to be done. And she says, I wanted my voice to be recorded for my grandson so that he can hear it. So everything went on, right? So we had to legally download, we had connected with people where we could legally download. Anuradha, I don't know if many of the audience that you have will be familiar with the Nadaswarams and, the marriage music. So we
Yeah, yeah,
got
I'm
all
sure.
that.
Why
Yeah,
not? Yeah,
we
yeah.
got all that done. Okay. Now the son, that is my friend, came to me independently without his mother's knowledge. And he said, Eshi, I want you to do a help for me. He says, these are the pictures that I have of my son and my mother, right? I want you to digitize, you have to put them all into a folder rather than putting it together. So we did that. Then his wife came and said, I want all his report cards. So she said, I'm so amused to say that today is a pitspilani thing and he's going for MS. But when I read that his teacher has said that he can identify numbers 1 to 5, it brings the joy and I'm able to relive. So it started adding on, and then it became a hard disk drive. Then we told her that just don't give it like that. Create a curiosity. So we arranged for a date between the grandson and the grandmother because he was leaving for the US. So we said, why don't you go for a date with your grand? She was excited. She said, that means, nobody else is there. It's just him and me, because I've never got time with my grandson. We said, no, it's only you and your grandson. Okay. But she said, no, no, I want somebody. Then I said, don't worry. One of my staff will be somewhere in an incipient corner, just in case you want any help. So we got the hard disk drive wrapped up, everything. And over the lunch, the grandson and grandmother were exchanging pleasantries. And then at the end of the meal, she insisted on paying. And then she gave the grandson a beautiful gift. A gift. So she said, you open it and see. So the grandson opened it and he saw a hard disk drive. He didn't know what was inside. He thought it was a hard disk drive. He said, it's the most useful thing for me. I know now I can record I can take all the music and all that with me. But I will go, because she didn't have much of knowledge in what they would use it for, but she knew the things had gone. She then she said, no, you go put it onto your laptop and say. So we taught her to arrive, arouse that curiosity in that guy. So all this went on in the night. What had happened was the next morning she called us and she was crying on the phone. She was sobbing, and the first feel was, hey, did the disk not open? For me, that was the biggest problem. Did the disk not open? Was there any problem on that? So I called my friend and said, hey, your mom called, she's crying. He said, no, 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 she's very happy. Let her talk. I don't want to spoil the suspense. So me and my colleagues were sitting, we didn't know what was going to land upon us. But then she called, and what she said, made a huge difference to us. She said, Srikumar, ever since my grandson went to he had gone to, he was in ninth and 10th, he used to go for these classes for his engineering. We hardly used to get time with him. 11th and 12th, he was preparing continuously for for various entrance exams and so on. I used to long. He's my only grandchild, and my son is my only child. So I used to long, but I hardly used to get time. Then he went to Pilani, where before he could come, his useless set. That's what she said. His useless set of friends would come, and I would long to, unless occasional, like when having a dinner together or a birthday, nothing much would happen. I would long to have his, time. But yesterday when we were having dinner, he was very quiet, and he was not talking. He was not even looking at me into my eyes. So I asked him, saying, Baba, what happened? Why are you so silent? Is everything okay? She said that she thought he was a little upset that he was going away. She said, no, we're all there. It's just a phone call away with your WhatsApp. Now you can talk on a daily basis. So he said, no, no, it's not that. And he was very quiet. He didn't speak during the dinner. And she said she retired for bed. And then she said he knocked the door and he came in and he was very quiet. I get very emotional when I relate this because I'm able to relate this myself, right? So she said that he came to me and he said, I'm very sorry, Pati's grandma. Said, Pati, I'm very, very sorry that I have not spent time with you. So she said, no, no, that's okay. I can understand the compulsions. He said, no, no, no. I realized after seeing the pictures that you had so thoughtfully done that I was surprised saying, oh my God, she's taken so much of efforts. And what did I do all these years? I've not given. And he said, he went to his room and brought a sheet and he put it by the side of a bed. And he said, I'm going to stay here tonight. And she said, we were talking till 2 o'clock in the morning. He was holding my hand. She said, I can't tell you how happy I was. This is what I had wanted. So what I'm saying, the new lot of people, they tend to have the time. So many of them now try to learn what is active face time, so they can connect with the grandchildren. So now, what the grandson did when he went back was he called us and he said, I want you to do something like this for my grandmother, because he says, this is something that I'm absolutely bold. He's saying, I'm completely knocked out based on this gift. So I'm saying, today's seniors, it's not just about money, it's not about freedom, it's about emotion, it's about a way to express emotions, right? There are so many who call and say, there are today people, and you're saying that I know it's my father's 70th birthday, I'm not there. There are people who will be a proxy to conduct the whole event, invite their friends. I know a particular case we have done where almost 50 people, relatives and friends of a person who turned 80, were invited to a hotel without this person's knowledge. And he and his wife just came thinking they were going in for a meal. His wife knew about it all along. When he entered and he saw his photo and he said happy birthday and this whole crowd, the kind of joy, and he started crying immediately. I'm saying there is so much that elders want today, and it's
Yeah.
all available. You just have to think, you have to talk. There are so many people who will be able to connect. I told you there are people who, run these buddy services. Hey, I want to go for I just want to take a break. I want to go out of home. Somebody I want to sit with my wife. They'll come and sit with them. There are people who will come with you to the theater. There are people who will come when you're doing a dialysis. They'll come and sit there so that you feel you're not too drained after a dialysis. There are people who accompany you by a flight to a destination, they come back with train, and then they come back and take you back. There is so much available to the elders today. It's so much. I mean, holidays are just one small expression, but today there is so much. And today, yeah, one more interesting thing from a Bangalore-based, there's this organization which does dresses for elders. Oh, you may
Yeah.
ask what is
Clothing you
special?
mentioned. Yeah. Yeah.
Clothing.
Yeah.
You may wonder what is very special about clothing. See, many of them develop, stiff shoulders. Many of them are not comfortable in taking. So there are magnetic ropes that have come in. There are Velcro ropes. There are ropes that you don't have to put it on. I'm just showing the action, but you can just put it on the side. You can easily slip into those ropes. And these ropes come up till they're not fully down so that you don't trip. There's so much happening. There are ropes for people who are going for a dialysis so that it's easy for them to, wear these clothes even during the process. There's so much that is happening in this area.
Yeah. It's a very emotional story, first of all.
Yeah, I get tears in my eyes. I don't know if you could see, but
Yeah, I
every time I
know.
relate that because there are a lot of stories like that we have done, but it's so and
Yeah.
I mean it's just like a movie, but there is somebody who had sent us money to take their parents. He said my parents have never traveled by a flight. May sound very it might sound like a movie story, but actually we did take a person and his wife on a flight for the first time. The tickets were booked, everything was done. The person was escorted to the airport and took a thing and came back. And he was so happy because he kept telling his son, before I die, I want to fly once. So I'm saying there are so many things that, happen. And there's so much
Yeah.
of joyous things to share rather than, yeah, you also have elders with health issues, they have financial issues, all these things. And today also one growing thing in the elders is that, you talked about living. So I'm coming specifically. Uh, one, we talked about people living in their own houses, right? And there you have a mushrooming of huge senior communities and living, right? It is nice when you get into them at 60 or 65 because you're able to, go
Form
build
your
your
bond
friends and
type of
there.
it. Yeah.
If you're 80, 75, 80, you really don't enjoy because, at that stage, you really want to be in a crowd. So today, what is also happening is that, people are choosing or buying a senior living versus renting. You asked the kind of work that we did. There are a
Yeah.
lot of people we suggest that you don't buy, to rent,
Rented.
because that is much cheaper. Because if they don't like, they can move away, or they're waiting for their green card. Until the green card comes, they want. We're saying if you buy, then you get stuck. Or the children are abroad. The children don't want to come back to India, but they want the parents to live comfortably. So we have those options, as well for these elders.
Yeah, I think we'll have to do a separate segment just on that sometime.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
I know we've been very upbeat and everything, but there is this problem of loneliness that you address. Finally, I
yeah.
just want to talk about that a bit. I remember you saying in the talk that I'd heard that, in Japan there are seniors who
Shoplifting. People shoplift.
shoplifting just to get into a prison so they have company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think your viewers can actually Google that because sometimes they may say, "Hey, what is this guy making up?" It's very sad. People are shoplifting, petty thefts. They call it as petty thefts. They're doing this petty thefts just to go to a prison to talk to people because they feel that they have. These are absolute loners. Loneliness is one of the biggest. Actually, there is this beautiful, a 20-minute film on the YouTube. A good friend of mine has made. It's called A Shared Cup of Coffee. A Shared Cup of Coffee is an amazing thing which addresses loneliness. It's a beautiful narrative of an old man who sits on the beach and every day just watches people, come and go by. And there's this old lady who comes, and suddenly out of somewhere they form a bond. And slowly, she's very hesitant initially to talk to him, and he tries to talk to her. She says, "Who's this guy? What is he trying to talk to me? And then what will be the taboo of people seeing me talk?" Then slowly she warms up. Slowly she starts looking, hey, why isn't this guy come today? And then when he comes, the kind of things that she has on her face, and then slowly 4 or 5 friends form. And it's a beautiful narrative of loneliness. And it's a narrative of how loneliness can be. See, today, Anuradha, the paradox is you can live in a house with people and still feel lonely.
Yeah.
See, loneliness hits you in different ways. I can be with a set of people because today the biggest thing is that everybody sits with a phone. They don't have
Right.
they don't have my, somebody whom I was telling, saying, hey, if I want my grandson or my son to answer me, I send them a WhatsApp message or I call them on the WhatsApp, then they come running immediately, because that's what they're glued on to. So loneliness is set in. People actually want to do something, but they don't know what to do. They're scared of, they have a lot of inhibition saying, oh, can I do this? Can I not do this? And then, loneliness is a big factor. They're saying that the depression caused by loneliness is a multi-trillion dollar catastrophe for the economy.
Yeah.
Loneliness is one of the biggest issues.
Yeah. So what can we do? I mean, the senior community, what can they do if they're listening in? And what can other people do as well, to counter this?
Yeah. See, I don't know. There was a very nice thing which was circulating some time back about the Swiss bank. I don't know if you know the Swiss bank. The Swiss bank is based on the theory of karma, right? Everybody there gives a certain percentage of the time to elders or people who are lonely. And this is credited into their time bank account. So as they grow old, they have 100 hours to their credit, they have 400 hours to their credit. So this is one way of incentivizing people to give. The second one is, for loneliness, essentially is, to create that intergenerational understanding, right? Children should understand why the grandparents need their time. And this awareness has to be instilled and fostered by the parents. Holidays means spending with your grandparents, right? These are things that can subtly, or going on a holiday with your grandparents. I think these are things that can come in. Third, I told you about this organization called Udavi. Bangalore Tata has this organization, Goodfellows. Okay, there is this organization called Elder Aid. Then in Chennai, you have this organization called My Abode. All these organizations, work on loneliness. They give you time. They'll say, hey, you can call up and say, hey, I'm feeling lonely. I feel like meeting somebody. Somebody comes and talks to you. But the biggest thing, and I told you Sukun does that. Sukun essentially does that. It has people who talk to you. But the challenge here, Anuradha, is how do people know such options are available? So awareness is the key. So if corporates could spend a bit of time, see, IT organizations have many of the IT organizations have people living abroad, their parents living, alone, or even if they're within this country, they live in different places, or even within the city. I'm saying if there could be an initiative launched by the corporates saying, "Hey, can we address this? We will do something for the loneliness factor." That will be great. There are organizations like Rotary which have the muscle to do a social initiative like this. If these organizations come together, they could address this loneliness a lot. And this loneliness factor looms significantly in places like Kerala, where individuals live in huge houses. There's no furniture, nothing. They live alone in their houses because their wards living, in Dubai or something, as their wish was to create a big house for themselves. And these elders just live there, and they're lonely. They don't come out, and it's actually very sad. So ability, I mean, you can effectively reach out to these people. So the TVs, the soaps are just one avenue. Right? There is negativity and there is positive thing of seeing, because there is absolute, I think you can call it a formula. This is what you can get in a soap. There is this, there's always this rivalry. All the negative emotions and characters are built up there. But if these people have something, Kerala government has now initiated, they've done a thing where people visit home to home to home to just meet you, talk to you, and do. So I'm thinking something like that. If the youngsters, if there is an initiative, see, if you, why I specifically spoke about the Rotary was the Rotary, other than the Rotary and the members, they have movements called the Rotaract movement, which is for the college people. Most of the Rotary clubs have one or two colleges attached to them, right? And then they have something called the Interact Club, which is for the school students, right? If they can run a program uniformly across this, right, which is supported by corporates on the loneliness factor, just imagine, I will love to come in, I can love to see saying, hey, tomorrow that boy is coming, he's going to sit with me, I'm going to make a dosa for him, I'm going to bake a cake for him. I'm saying that gives a lot of purpose, to many of the elders. And many of the elders want to, I mean, it's not like they're going to take something from you, they want to give you something, and they want to meet somebody to whom they could give this to.
Yeah, it's fun even for the person who's visiting, or you get
Yeah,
something in return. You're right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that
And
sense of purpose that somebody is going to be coming to meet me. So, you get your house ready. You
yeah,
get, you plan the dish you're going to make. It's
yeah.
yeah, you're right.
No, and this, and see, when
Yeah.
I was studying, in my school time, we had something called the moral stories, right? Now, this is a moral, practical thing as part of your academic. If you're able to bring that, saying that, hey, how many hours, and this is not on the fifth standard and sixth standard. I mean, you take it at a level where the kids are relatively mature to understand what loneliness is about. You can even show them films. You don't have to necessarily ask them to visit elders, but I'm saying if we start working, all of us start working in this, that will be great. If somebody says, hey, I know a friend of mine, she lives in Agartala and she's lonely, and then you try and reach out to somebody in Agartala and saying, can you go and meet up this person? Elders are also very suspicious. They don't let they don't allow people to access them very, very easily. But if it's a known person, that they will allow. So if we can work on these loneliness factors, right? Today, many of the elders long, if there's a media which could, do the reviews of OTT, movies and programs, they would love to go through it and, start listening. Or if you create a platform where they can discuss the pluses and minuses of a movie, just imagine how many people will log on to that and then just
Yeah.
give their opinion for 1 hour. They just chat. That this chat session is something,
Yeah.
and many of them are quite savvy. They know how to use their phone. They know how to use a tab. They will just spend hours together. You find out their areas of interest and start creating them.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. Whether it's, see, grandparents have the time, parents are busy. So if they can connect with the younger generation, or even, corporates, you're saying the Rotary, even us, all of us, yeah, we're all getting there to the
Yeah,
senior
yeah,
citizen.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No,
No,
but actually,
better.
it's actually on the reverse. There is so much these people have to offer or to give, right?
Absolutely,
From
absolutely.
the traditional. I mean, if you look at somebody who is interested in tradition, in Chennai there are a lot of elderly women who teach you the rangoli. See, the rangoli is maths. It's based on the
Yeah,
dots and how you connect the dots, right? And that is being taught by people. So when I go abroad, when I go to the US and I found a home with Rangoli, I say, hey, how did you do it? Rather than having a sticker across, right? Traditional dishes
Yeah.
are coming back to, they're coming back to flavor. And they said, hey, I went to this particular restaurant, I had this. So I'm saying there's so much the elders have to give back to the society. If you sit
Yeah,
with
there's so
them,
much, yeah,
yeah,
really. So much
yeah,
to learn,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And to
absolutely.
preserve, so much of culture, traditions,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And also experiences. The narration that they have is huge. Many a times, there are corporate issues that can be sorted out by just talking to a few of them because they have lived it practically. Right? Today, what are the issues that we have? We are talking about team. When we're talking about, a team game, that is because as youngsters, when I grew up, we never used to be, in silos. We were 20 cousins or, your friends, all of you packed together, you run you always are with a set of people, so you've grown up with that feeling. Today's kids are alone. Today's kids are onto the phones. Today's kids, I'm not trying to typecast a kid today, but I'm saying these are things that the
No, you're
elders
right.
can.
Because even, picking up the phone to call comes easily to us, but for most
Yeah,
of the younger generation, they'd rather just message. So even
yeah,
that art is going.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that is as far as the loneliness. There's so much of work. Mental
Yeah.
health is something that is very, very critical for elders, and we need to find ways of addressing the mental health. How to keep them in good cheer. They can get depressed very, very, very easily because financial strains are one of the main things that they have. But somebody needs to sit with them and say, hey, no, you're doing fine. You can manage, and these are the options that you have. And there are a lot of people who give that. One important thing, when you touched upon this 25 percent of bank debt, it used to be much higher. It used to be 42%. But if you look, there is something like, 190 lakh crores of deposits and dividends that are remaining unclaimed. I don't know what my husband had when he died, but I don't know what my wife had invested in. But if somebody could, if there's a set of people who could be trusted and they start digging into all your papers and say, hey, listen, you have about 10 to 12 lakhs of money, which is not being done. First, you have to just we'll demat it for you, and then we'll get the cash. Just imagine they have a lot of wealth that they have to still retrieve. There's so much like that. We have seen cases where people suddenly have discovered because we put people on. They've discovered saying, "Oh, I had my husband. I never knew my husband had so many shares." Things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of things to work on, really.
yeah, absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. So the other thing was 2 days back. I had spoken to somebody, and they had come out with a very interesting concept. They're saying elders tend to forget. So medicines. So they have this packaged medicines, right? They have it by pre-breakfast, post-breakfast, each day by date. So if you've not eaten one day, you know that you've missed. And these are companies where every month on the 25th or 21 week before the end of the month, they call you and remind you and saying, hey, then you suddenly say, oh, I have so many tablets I have not taken. They replenish your stock. So all these are, I'm saying today, if somebody would be able to, I'm sure, with podcasts like yours, they were saying, hey, what is available to you? A lot of elders would start coming and start, understanding what is available to them.
you're right. It's like putting a book together or a manual
Yeah,
with everything
yeah,
in it. There's so much.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another story that I would like to relate. Recently, a neighbor of mine who is 65, right? It's not very old, but he's there. He wanted to buy a car. Now I'm telling about the reverse thing of youngsters and elders. So he wanted to go earlier. It used to be a nightmare because the moment you decide, first you don't know what car to decide on, and two, if you've kind of done that, you go to a car dealer, the information leaks out, and there are some hundreds of these sales guys who will start hounding you. A car dealer, X car dealer, Y dealer, and the same brand will start calling you because information keeps going through. Then financiers will start calling you because they will not know what your profile, that they'll think that you need a money. So there's a big headache. So this guy said, hey, Srikumar, I must tell this. I said, I want you to relate it to your friends. He says that, sometime back when I did, my good friend of mine said they had an experience. There are these set of youngsters who have started an organization called Karpal. Excuse me. So what does Karpal do? Karpal first helps you identify which car. Based on talking to you, they first identify what car you want to buy. Then They arrange for the test drive. They mask your numbers. The numbers go through. It's like your Ola. When the Ola guy calls you, he calls through a 080 number, which is masked. Your number is not available with him, right? So if they mask it, they bring you for test drive. You can do any number of test drives. They do that, and the dealers are not supposed to contact you. They don't give your numbers to the dealer at all, right? Then after that, you can come out with any number of questions, and they answer these questions. Then what happens is that they do a holistic thing. Then they say, okay, then you say, fine, I have this car. I want to, it has to, they come, they do a valuation, they give you the best price. You can compare with anybody else. But I'm saying everything at your doorstep. You don't have to step out anywhere. Okay. And then they come, what they do is they value your car, everything, and then you pay minus that valuation. They show that as a car advance. So it's not that you pay back after you buy the car, right? So you then what happens is on the day of delivery, they bring the car to your home. Then they take you for a test drive. They take you to the temple if you want to do a puja. They answer all questions, everything. They even do the fast tag for you, right? It goes to that extent. Then, after delivering a car, they take your old car and they drive it away. Just imagine sitting at your doorstep. Now, I'm just talking about this car services and CarPal, amazing sort of young engineers, right, who have hit upon this idea. But just imagine if I am going to set this as a for all services if I give. I'm going to go to Mahindra Holidays. Somebody sends me a virtual reality and says, hey, listen, you are the thing. This is the age. These are the kind of properties within Mahindra Holidays, which will suit you. Right. And you can go into these. There are no steps. There are elevators. So what happens is your decision making becomes easy. Right. And you see what you get. Talking about Mahindra Holidays, they have come out with a scheme called Bless, which is Bliss, which actually focuses on the 65 and above. It's a 20-year-old or a 10-year-old timeshare scheme, focused only on the seniors. So I'm saying this market. So in every product, just take. I'm talking about Carpal, but Carpal is just a example, right? If I talk
Yeah.
about a cochlear implantation, many people don't hear. If I want to test it in a public, they may be shy. They don't want to. They have these inhibitions. They don't want to come out. But if I connect with them on a one-to-one basis and talk to them, give them a demo, put this and say, hey, listen, take your time. I'll come tomorrow. Ask me whatever questions you want. Till, they buy. Just imagine the experience that the elder would go to. And in elders, the biggest advantage is your word of mouth marketing. If they are very happy with you, they will talk about you to at least another 10 people. The story I talked to you about the digitization,
Yeah.
we did almost 40 such requests for elders. Right?
Wow.
Now we didn't continue it more because I don't have the manpower, but today you can do that. And then Seagate, the hard disk manufacturer, and came to us and said, hey, if you're doing this, it's a cost, we will give it to the elders at a certain discount. Because you start creating a story and sending it to Seagate saying, would you be involved in a so I'm not asking you for a free thing, but can you do something for this segment? And then they come back to you and say, hey, this looks interesting. Yes, because they're looking at a huge horizon. See, this is a non-conventional sales technique that you have. Similarly, when I talked about the swivel seats, a lot of because a lot of elders started asking the car dealers saying that can I put a swivel seat in your model? Will it be compatible? Suddenly, the dealers found that that was one of the deterrents or was one of the screening things for elders to buy a car. Now, many of them have started talking about swivel seats. So, like this, the narrative changes. You are a consumer. The elder is a consumer today. Whether he's consuming, something social, whether he's consuming something material, he is in a position to demand. He or she is in a position to actually say, I want this. And there are enough and more people running. Today, the problem is that, many people do not know what is available so that they normally go it's something like a painter. If you go to a local painter, that guy is very familiar with only one brand of paint and which is used to, he'll suggest, he's saying that is the best sir, and you'll go. You have no choice. But if there are opportunities like your stage, people can start understanding and getting to experience things, and they then become ambassadors. They take this information across to places.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like, seniors are demanding and they're getting what they want. And the market
Yeah.
is realizing that this is a strong segment.
Yep.
So, they're
Yep.
bending over backwards literally to cater to
Absolutely.
them.
No, they don't have to bend backwards. Market is realizing that there is a huge potential here. It is a new emerging market. I would not say that they
Yeah.
bend backwards. I would say that they're bending forwards because they don't want to lose.
To
They
meet
don't
them.
want to lose. Yeah, they don't want to lose. Now, why will I, if I'm going to my, if I'm flying to UK, right? Would I choose Emirates or will I choose British Airways? I will probably choose British Airways because they allow me 23 into 2 bags. Right? It depends on what my agenda is. If I'm just on a holiday, I'll probably, because the comfort is more on Emirates, I will take because they'll allow me only a 23 kg baggage there. I'm saying the choice is distilled down to that level, Anuradha. It's interesting because these people are well informed. And then you have this
Yeah.
Google doctor who will tell you whether it's good or bad. You can just go, people go put it on the Google and then they see whatever they want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And information is power, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But then should know how to channelize this information.
Yeah. And that
Yeah,
awareness, like you said,
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
everybody is aware that, like I had no idea about all these things. I know about a couple of them, but not like it's such
Right.
a big industry, and there's so much happening.
Oh, it is, it is, it is. As I told you, I was myself surprised when I was part of Unmukt when we were doing this. It's not only the financial services. You have people who make diabetic slippers, right? You have people who come with light baggages that elders can, it's easier for the elders to move. You people come with this concept of daily pills and the pill masters, right? It's called the pill box. There are people who come with you and say, hey, can you lend a voice? Can we do something like, the Karadi tales? Can we do? There are a lot of grandmas who are getting into the storytelling now. It's so nice when you hear a grandmother and she's telling stories. There are children say, I don't know, strangely, I don't know. I don't want to put this as a, thing, but there are a lot of people, living outside India who find a lot of value in, these traditions and saying, oh, this party stories, I want this party stories. It's selling at this particular place. So I'm saying you can use them significantly and they would be too excited to do it for you. The opportunities are huge.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope somebody
Yeah,
listening to you, I'm sure people are already listening and doing so much, actually.
yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
a talented,
we just
talented,
have to
talented.
reorient our thinking, when we look
Yeah,
at
yeah,
seniors. Yeah.
absolutely. If you look at the Facebook today, you have grandma's recipe. It says this pickle is done by this particular grandma in that
Yeah.
recipe, and it sells order booking, and there are a lot of people commenting on that, right? So I'm
Yeah, the
saying,
minute you say grandma, it sells. It's like that. Yeah. Yeah.
grandma,
Oil,
it sells.
hair oil by
Yeah,
grandma's recipe, pickle grandma's
absolutely.
recipe, it all
Because they
sells.
respect saying you've come with. See, I'm saying earlier days they used to have these long hair. People had thicker hair. They're associating. See, today, whether it's because of the environmental conditions or the, chemical content of the cosmetics that we use, there are so many things that we don't, attach a value to. That is why probably, Hindustan Lever is talking about shikakai, which is for them tradition, right?
Yeah.
And toothpaste are talking about clove, which is, everybody knew clove is a good this thing for your teeth. But I'm saying once it comes to an advertisement, and it says my grandmother said this, my grandfather said this. So this is how it comes in.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure, Shri, talking to you. I hope it's the first of
Thanks.
many conversations. So
Thank you.
feel
No, I
free to
enjoyed, really enjoyed this conversation, and it also gives me, so much of happiness that when I'm connecting to people, because I told you we work separately on we've done more than 20 projects, but in the 9,000 more than 9,000 people we have dealt with, everybody has come with some kind of a requirement. And today I'm saying, like me, there are many people who sit, listen to you, and then give you a customized solution. They don't give you saying, oh, you want this, take this. No, they try to go further and find out whether it will suit you, it will not suit you, so on and so forth, right? So that is how they can. So today, if there is something that can show, if there is some kind of a media that shows in the neighborhood, see, you have in Bangalore and Chennai, you have the neighborhood newspapers, but not in all the areas, right? I'll probably look at Koramangala Times or the Adaya Times in Chennai. But if there's something which says, hey, this is event happening for the elders in this particular place, it could be even once a month, once in 2 months, they will know that something is happening. They say, hey, my friends are coming there. I would like to go. And, congratulations to you for doing such a wonderful program,
share.
and really hats off for the kind of initiatives that you're doing.
No, no, thanks to you. And what
Yeah,
the takeaway for me is this, we shouldn't just talk about them as a homogeneous bunch, senior people.
yeah,
Like you're saying, it's all personalized, customized. Each person is different. They're all individuals.
true, true.
And that's how we should look at it. It's a very vibrant community.
True. And contrary to belief, they'll be very difficult people to deal with and all. They are fun.
They're
They
fun.
have
Yeah.
this initial inhibition because, they are cautious, which is good. Once they get to know you, it's a riot. You know, it's a riot. I must invite you to the meetings that we have for Udavi. Udavi is chaired by a lady, Sabita Radhakrishna, who's 80 years old. Her only thing is, I want to help people. I want to stave off loneliness, right? So we have patrons who give us spaces and say, hey, bring a bunch of elders. We would like to, we'd like to entertain with them. I'll just give you a thing. On the 13th of
Yeah.
this month, Savera Hotels, and Nina Reddy is a chairperson, is so attached to this cause of elders. She's giving a place, she's giving the food, and she's saying, hey, bring a bunch of elders and entertain them. I'm saying opportunities like this could come everywhere. I
Yeah.
hope, people like you will be able to connect more, elders to such
I'm sure
things.
I'd love to come. Yeah. Please let
Yeah,
me know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for your time.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Bye.